This is a story about human endeavor, songcraft, the act of doing. When ideas strike, inspiration hits, and things seem to fall into place, seemingly from out of nowhere. My name is Kevin. I'm a recording mix engineer and producer. I just wanted to preserve something that's authentic in the act of doing and creating, and my subject is music. In this episode, we're going to take a trip back to 2020, when a song was created during COVID called Finders Keep. Coincidentally, in our last episode, we talked with Secaina. And in that episode, we talked about Secaina's art collective called PesoLife. And because of PesoLife, I was able to meet somebody called Askil, who wrote this song called Finders Keep. This is the story of how this song, by itself, turned into an album, and then later brought me to Norway. Right now, I'm not going to start with the song fully, but you can hear a piece of it playing underneath my voice right here. It's a very cool song, and we're going to get to that in just a moment. But I need to tell you how this song came about, and why I was even working on it in the first place. Earlier in the intro, I mentioned PesoLife, Secaina's art collective in London. PesoLife made a track called Fireflies, and then they offered for me to remix it. And I'm going to play a little bit of it just so you have some context of why I'm even talking about a song that's not even part of this episode. Here's Fireflies, the remix that I made called the Emo Trip Mix.
I've been wondering, trying to find my place. Just want to escape, just want to feel something. Pieces fracturing, roaming through my brain, somehow connecting. It keeps me sane. I'm a devil.
If that voice sounds familiar, it's because that's Secaina. But the next voice that came on was Askil's. I didn't know who this was at the moment, but this is what I heard, and I was inspired.
Roads leading to roads, leading to pieces, connecting dots along a torn apart map of the mind. My open eyes have traveled 1,000,000 miles to find it. What it is up in the air. I know it when I see it. When I see fireflies, fireflies, fireflies.
I'm sure at this point, you're about as inspired as I was the first time I heard that. And I immediately reached out to Secaina to ask her, pretty bluntly, who is that singer? And what person does that voice belong to?
Yeah, hi. My name is Askil, and I'm a musician from Tromsø, Norway. The timeline of me meeting Secaina was me going to class. I was going to the Institute for Contemporary Music Performance in London with a student in my class called Kalina, who I became good friends with. She was part of a collective called PesoLife, and through her I got the opportunity to go into a studio with them for a day and just record the song that you heard, which is called Fireflies, which we basically just wrote on the spot. I was just put in front of a laptop with a keyboard and a microphone and just told to go at it.
Making figures and patterns, yellow dots leading me down the road. Rebels barking out.
After I left, they put their own spin on it, added their own verses, instrumentals, all that stuff. And the result became this really cool collaboration that I never would have been able to do on my own. And I found my own voice being used in a genre and a style that was just totally outside my wheelhouse at the time. So it was really fun. And I got to connect with Secaina and develop that relationship and friendship. So once that song was finished, it came out probably around autumn of 2020. Kevin snatched it up, did his own remix of it, and through that got in touch with me through Secaina.
Secaina was very generous and gave me Askil's email, and I showered him with compliments and hoped that he would respond. Luckily, he did, and we ended up talking about music for quite a while.
Getting that email was very strange because I wasn't used to anyone really... I don't know. I'd never had anyone give me attention or feedback from my music in that sense, where it was sort of like a cold call or a cold email, just saying, hey, you're cool. I like your stuff. Let's do something. So I didn't really know how to react, and I think part of me was a bit skeptical as well. But not because of anything Kevin did. I was just like, well, this is unusual. What does this guy want? You know, I had no idea who this guy was, but he seemed cool.
The feeling was mutual. Askil was very cool. I'm very grateful that he thought I was cool, and the trust was beginning to build.
By the time Kevin reached out, I was sort of in the infancy of my own sort of songwriting process. I've had thoughts for years about writing my own songs, being very inspired by the artists that I listen to, but never feeling like I found my own direction.
After the conversation warmed up, I asked Askil if he had anything that he was working on. I didn't know what to expect, but he sent me a demo, and this is what I got. I have a feeling that if you listen to these episodes back to back, you're going to hear me saying, I was blown away, or I was so excited, to the point where it feels disingenuous. But I promise I was genuinely excited. But I was only excited about the piano part. And then I heard his voice again.
Where'd you run off to? You call out as you burst through another door. The keepers lit softly.
At the very start, I think I sent just a demo. And by chance, by the time I started to find my own sound and what I wanted to do, I met Kevin. And he helped me develop that further.
Part of that development actually included production from me, so let's dive in. My mind kept hearing sweeping brass, big string arrangements, and just an epic feel of feeling like I was outdoors and exploring the world somehow.
Maybe I'll follow you.
But in this dreamland that Askil created.
To the other side. Back in time.
Once it had his fingerprint on it, and I was taken to his place and what he felt when he was listening to it, there was no doubt that, yeah, I need this guy on this entire EP. Otherwise, the the difference in quality from that one song to the rest of them is going to be way too big. So no matter the cost, yeah, I need this guy on this project.
And that momentum is something that I wanted to capture here in this podcast. I wanted it to feel real to you as much as it feels real to Askil. And to do that, let's take apart the song bit by bit to show you how it was made. And we're going to start with the lyrics.
I have a video of me singing along to an instrumental demo where I'm just singing.
Na, 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 na. Da, da, da.
I wanted to capture that feeling first. I basically just hummed along to the instrumental that I'd made. And once that melody developed itself and it's set, then I start to listen for, okay, what words are in this melody? What words work with what I've already been humming to myself? The main lyrics came after I got that line down, maybe I'll follow you.
Maybe I'll follow you.
But once I come up with a line, the words sort of take shape by themselves, and then the rest of the lyrics can be inspired by that line.
To the other side, back in time.
The bass guitar is basically just there to serve its purpose of outlining the chords, driving the pulse, working along with the kick drum, which is rare for me because I'm a bass player. So I had to hold back on not making it too fancy. Literally, it's just root notes played with a pick following the chords. It's another learning experience for me, just learning that right now, my main instrument really doesn't matter. It's not about that, it's about the song. If you forget it's there, then it's doing its job.
And now we're going to move on to the drums.
That kick is not really what I would usually do, because I'm really not into making club music. At least I wasn't at that point. I wanted to make sort of mellow indie music.
I kept hearing something a little bit more forceful and driven, something in the realm of club music, but this is a lot more emotional and more melodic. But that kick drum was there, and it just kept hitting my soul, so it had to come up.
I think your instinct was to make it a little bit more disco or techno than I'd wanted to, because I wanted to have it feel like just a subtle element in the background that drove the song forward.
There was nothing subtle about the entire song, and I kept hearing epic, and I kept hearing inspirational, a break from lockdown, and that kind of made me feel like these drums really need to break out. And part of me wanted to use one of my most coveted recordings from the 4th of July in the United States. Right there, a firework explosion.
And I think you heard in the song in the beginning, you heard, all right, this is a hit. Let's take it up a notch. Let's really go. So that's when we had our first lovers quarrel. It was over that kick. In the end, I think we found a really happy medium where it's not overbearing in any way, but it's still there and it's present, and you can sort of bob your head to it. For that piano line, I found this piano sound that was sort of the most imperfect piano sound you could find, with all the clickety-clacky details of the keys, all that stuff. I got really into Nils Frahm, and he has this amazing album called Felt, where he plays an acoustic piano, and he's got it mic'd up to the T. So he's got a microphone above the piano itself, he's got a microphone inside the piano, he's got a microphone next to his mouth, so you can hear his breathing, you can hear his fingers tapping the keys. It's like you're in the room there with him. And I wanted to recreate how that made me feel. So I cheated a little bit since I was just in my bedroom. I didn't have an acoustic grand piano. So I used Spitfire's Firewood piano plugin. And with a little bit of tweaking, a little bit of Kevin's magic, you could get the sense of someone sitting in a room playing that piano, which is what I wanted to do for that song, because of how it made me feel connecting with Nils Fram's album.
In order to accomplish this in a similar way, I had to use a combination of compression and a piano that I had sampled years before in Barcelona. I'll play the first chord of Finders Keep just to show you, and I'll hold the piano chord so you can hear the live background and activity going on. So when I layered this on top of the Firewood piano from Spitfire, this is what I ended up with.
Yeah, so the little the piano bleep bloop sounds, it was literally an effort by me to weird up the song. This is a little bit too pretty. We need to put some weird details in here. So I used a really cheap sounding stock Logic piano sound. And I ran that through a ring modulator.
And for those who don't know what a ring modulator is basically a device that takes two input signals and modulates one against the other, which creates a bell or metallic or robotic type sound. If you're still unclear, I can use Askil's synth piano from before. And now, when I put a ring modulator on, you'll get this. And then if you modify this ring modulator, you end up with something like this. Askil picks up where he left off.
And an arpeggiator. And I basically just held down some keys and just let it do its thing. And the result were just... which, strangely enough, fit the song. There was this element of randomness to it that I really liked, because the rest of the song is it runs along very smoothly, and this little plink-plonk piano thing breaks it up pretty nicely.
At this point, we're getting close to the end of the episode. There's only one more production element that's a lot of fun before I show you the final song.
When I was in the studio doing pickups...
Another terminology moment. A pickup is when you go back to the studio to re-record something that didn't work out the first time you recorded. You could almost think of it as picking up where you left off.
It was around the time where the university opened back up and we had a university studio available. I just had the idea of, hey, let's make it a crowd thing. So me and some friends, Alvaro and Talia, we went into the studio and just sit in front of a mic and just sing. It doesn't have to be nice. It doesn't have to be in pitch. We just need that feeling of people coming together.
Askil here is talking about the final chorus of the song. He had the idea of making it a really big crowd singing along with the main vocal. I'm going to walk you through all of the parts that were recorded and then later what I added to fill it out. Just a moment ago, Askil mentioned his friends
Alvaro and Talia.
And here's what those recordings sounded like. First up, Talia.
Maybe I'll follow you.
Just a moment ago, Askil said that the pitch and performance did not have to be perfect. In fact, imperfect is what we're looking for because we're trying to emulate a crowd of people with different levels of skill when it comes to singing. Next up, Alvaro.
Maybe I'll follow you.
And when I stack those two on top of each other, this is what you get.
Maybe I'll follow you.
That sounds kind of fun, but it doesn't quite accomplish the big crowd that we're looking for in the end of the song. So now it's Askil's turn.
Maybe I'll follow you.
Okay, not so interesting there, but let's stack that together with the other two.
Maybe I'll follow you.
This crowd still isn't big enough. Okay, we need another element. What about maybe rowdy footballers?
Oh, maybe I'll follow you.
Okay, we're getting somewhere. Now we've got a bunch of people who can't sing. And I only mean the rowdy footballers here. What if we stack that?
Oh, maybe I'll follow you.
It's getting there. It's really close, but it just feels a little too clean and too in the studio. We need to rough it up a little bit. So what better way to do that than to add myself, I guess? But I couldn't just add more clean recordings, so I started to get a little creative. So I thought, let's get a terrible singer. And so I did my worst.
Maybe I'll follow you.
That's pretty bad, but I can do worse.
Maybe I'll follow you.
I started to channel my inner grimace, and here's the best I could do with that.
Maybe I'll follow you.
Now we're getting somewhere, but I still need some really bad singers. Next up, me again.
Maybe I'll follow you.
That's pretty bad. So what I'm going to do is take the ones that you've just heard and stack those on top of each other.
Maybe I'll follow you.
Okay, admittedly, that is still terrible. But I think you get the idea of where this is all going. Let me stack all 18 of these up against the other ones that you just heard, and we'll see what the final result is.
Maybe I'll follow you.
And now, let's put the final vocals all together with the main vocals, the backing vocals, the effects, and the mastering chain.
Maybe I'll follow you to the other side, back in time.
Immediately, you get the sense of a huge crowd, and it doesn't matter if they can sing or if they're virtuosos, they're all having a really good time singing this anthem. So, mission accomplished.
They were happy to do that. One of them needed a bit of convincing, but in the end, the result was really good. And it elevated the song at that final moment. We just need that feeling of people coming together to sort of reinforce that final message of connecting and unity, where you're at the end of this journey in this album and realizing it's okay to be around other people.
So that's the end of the episode. Now we're going to play Finders Keep uninterrupted.
Where'd you run off to? You call out as you burst through another door. The keepers lit softly, pages strewn across the floor. I marked the entrance to the attic with a bright white light. As you make the climb and watch from above, out of sight. Maybe I'll follow you to the other side, back in time. Maybe this time I'll take your call. I told you not to worry. Past my pride. Bricks upon bricks and walls upon walls. Maybe this time I'll take your call. You're laughing as you tumble down the hill. Down I watch you go.
The Act of Doing is recorded, produced, and mixed by me, Kevin Skaggs. The theme music is written, recorded, and produced by me as well. All music within the episode is used with permission from the creators and writers. Askil Fangel, and me, Kevin Skaggs, with the exception of Nils Fram's song Familiar, which is under the intention of commentary and Creative Commons. Finders Keep was written by Askil Fangel. Production, Askil Fangel, and me, Kevin Skaggs. The mix for Finders Keep was also mixed by me. Mastering by Becker Mastering in Pasadena, California. This has been episode 2 of The Act of Doing in Series 1. Keep an eye on this spot. We're going to have more episodes to come in the future.